Okay guys, so after Singapore, I'm not yet depressed, but I'm getting to the point that I don't know what is going to happen to my life. Where am I headed? Where am I going? What's the plan? How can I change my life? I do have my degree now. I finished university, but no one would hire me because I didn't have any job experience. I thought this Singapore was going to be a nice opportunity for me. The deal was that if I like it, after 1 month we are going to sign a long-term contract, but it ended up not working out and I had to go home after telling everyone that this is the dream, and I just kind of like put my tail beneath my legs and went back home. I wanted to start covering, I wanted to start wearing the hijab. I didn't have a job, I didn't have any perspectives. I was applying to jobs everywhere, especially in the GCC, because I'd heard that they have a lot better salaries and they offer package deals, but nobody would hire me. And so I was getting really scared, like what's next? Like everyone's asking me, what are you gonna work? What are you gonna this? What are you gonna that? And I really didn't know. And this kind of like uncertainty drives you a little bit crazy. So when I got back from Singapore, one day on my Instagram, I had a message from a girl in Morocco who was also a convert to Islam and who had also moved to Morocco. And she's like, hey girl, I watched your story, I watched your struggle, and I know what you're going through. So you can apply and send your CV to jobs from anywhere in the world. So might as well come to an Islamic country. I have a spare bedroom, come live with me. And inshallah, whenever you get a job and you can go. But at the same time, at least you can feel free, you can wear hijab, you can practice, you don't have to feel like the odd one out. So that to me was like the next miracle of the century. I was like, this is it, you know, like, oh, subhanallah, alhamdulillah, la 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 la. So yeah, I'd been back from Singapore maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something. I packed my bags, took a one-way ticket to Agadir. Agadir is interesting. I have to be very careful with my words here not to offend anyone. So I went, and I wish I could go into detail more about this experience in Agadir, but I'm going to close my mouth and save this one for just immediate friends and family. But long story short, my mother was really surprised with me because my whole life I've been the kind of person who kind of gets along with everyone, and then first the thing in Singapore happened and we didn't get along, and now I arrived to Morocco. And in Morocco, okay, I was like, okay, how can I make money? How can I have an income? I got enough savings to buy a one-way ticket to Morocco, but then what? So I stayed at her apartment, and her husband, they were very welcoming, and I still till today appreciate that they took me in a time like this. And like I was not the same person that I am today as well, so I was really like a bummer. Like I was the party pooper, or like I was in a weird place in my life, so I didn't have much happiness to give to others as well, and I kind of needed like nurturing and mothering and all of these things, and that's just not something that she was in for. She just wanted like a friend. So when I was in Morocco, I was like, okay, at the time it was really popular to do these like chiffon kimonos or something. So I went to like a local like khiyata, which is like a seamster, and I don't speak any French and I don't speak any Arabic, anything. So I always would ask for her help to help me to like go fabric shopping and then explain to the guy what I want. And I just started promoting them on Instagram. I think I sold those kimonos for like 30 euros a piece. So that's how I made my money to have like daily food and to cover my daily expenses. And yeah, I think I sold maybe like, I don't know, 20 or 30 of these kimonos within a month, which I thought was quite good at the time. I was more focused on this kimono business and this clothing business more than I was actually investing like the time to get to know her and for us to just do other things. For me, like when it started growing, I started getting really excited about it. But again, I couldn't have ever done it without her help. So at the time, I don't know if you guys remember, if you followed me from that time, there was a modeling competition for Citra Style in Dubai. And I won that modeling competition, which meant for 1 week, all expenses paid. They flew me to Dubai and I had to be the face of their winter collection. So in Citra Style, it was me, Hanan, Hijab by Hanan, and Noureen. Oh my god, I miss those girls so much. And I really loved every minute of that experience in Dubai. And while I was in that competition in Citra Style, I started receiving a lot of messages from the girl in Morocco who I had been staying with, and it just ended really badly. And from that moment I knew I could not go back, and but my flight was already paid for and my flight already back was there, and I had nowhere else to go, because I'm like, okay, and I go back to Estonia and then what? So my flight back was Dubai, Marrakesh, Agadir. In Marrakesh, I didn't take the next flight, I stayed in Marrakesh. So it made me kind of also start questioning, like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I get along with people? Or like, am I the problem? And like a lot of this like inner contemplation. But at the same time, I don't even know where I'm gonna sleep tonight. So I went on booking.com, and in Morocco they have like these riads. And I booked a riad, okay, which is like a little hotel. And in Marrakesh, I remember in the middle of the airport, I just burst down crying. I didn't know where I'm going. I cannot stay with that girl anymore. All my bags are still at her place. I cannot go back to home to Estonia. No one is hiring me. I don't know what's my plan for life, for future, for anything. So I was really lost. That's where like slowly, with every day that went by, I kind of became like, I was like a bright candle, and I kind of, my light started like dimming and dimming. And I didn't know where all this is taking me. So I checked out from Marrakesh airport, and at the time one of my followers had a friend in Morocco who happened to be also like part-time taxi driver or something like that, and my flight was delayed like 3 times. So actually in the end I arrived at 2 a.m. to Marrakesh, and I didn't even have a luggage. I had a military bag, which is the one you have to carry on your back, and it was like 25 kilos, and I cannot carry it on my own. So I arrived to Marrakesh, and I had the booking on booking.com at least for 1 night, and then I was like, okay, tomorrow morning I'm gonna think and I'm gonna figure it out. And then this follower's friend slash taxi driver picked me up from the airport and drove me to the hotel I'm supposed to stay in, and by that time it's like 2 a.m. in the morning. I have no idea what I'm doing. And in Marrakesh, if you've ever been, the roads are very tiny and narrow, so you cannot enter it with a car. You have to go with a tiny, like a motorcycle. And so he was with a car, so he had to park far away, and then the two of us like going in these little like narrow streets. 2 a.m. okay. If I ever write a book, it's gonna be like this, like 2 a.m. Marrakesh, and then like diary style. Anyway, and so we arrived there, and now I'm speaking about all this with laughter and smiles, but imagine me at the time, like life is ending. So we knock again. It's me and this random guy, and like we knock and nobody answers, and that hotel that I had booked is closed. Go figure. Nobody answers, nobody opens, the phone doesn't answer, the door doesn't open, nobody is there. So it's me and rando guy and military bag in the middle of Marrakesh at 2 a.m. where I've never been, by the way, before in my life. So as you can understand, slowly depression is building. So rando taxi guy is like, hey, I also have a hotel. And so at that point I'm really like, what are my chances? Either he's gonna take me down the alley and I'm going to die, or he leaves me and I don't go with him, and what am I gonna do here in the middle of the street at 2 a.m. So I didn't have any other option but to trust him. So I went, and alhamdulillah, it was another kind of little hotel, this riad, and we checked in, and he's like, get some sleep and we can manage the money and whatever this in the morning. And he didn't tell me how much it would cost. And the next morning, when I woke up there in a random hotel in the middle of Marrakesh, where I was not supposed to be, where I don't know anyone, pretending in front of my family like everything is amazing, because otherwise they're gonna tell me like, are you crazy? Just come back home. And I can't tell them that, oh hey guys, I can't come back home because, oh, I want to wear the hijab and I want to wear something where I want to live somewhere where I can practice Islam. They're just gonna tell me like, you psycho, come home, live your life. So I can't tell them how bad it is. I have to be like, oh yeah, he's so adventurous. And if you go back in my Instagram account, you're gonna see all my pictures from Morocco, and I'm smiling on most of them. If you know me, you will see that my eyes are not smiling. But throughout all of that time, like no one knew. Everyone just thought like, oh my God, she's traveling, it's so cool. So yeah, that next morning when I woke up, I think it was one of the worst feelings that I've ever woken up with in my entire life. I don't know where I am. I'm in some random guy's hotel. I don't know how much the night cost. Can I even afford it? I'm in Marrakesh. I've never been in Marrakesh in my entire life. I cannot go back to Agadir where all my stuff is. I don't have any friends. I don't have any this. I have to pretend in front of my family like everything is fine. So it was just like, where am I going? What am I doing? I have a nice life in Estonia. I have a good family. What am I doing? Where am I? Okay, breathe, Elaine. Okay, breathe, stop crying, breathe. And I know in retrospect it sounds like I'm such a drama queen, but I was really not. I was just a lost, lonely, single girl who didn't know what's happening in life and where to go and what to do and how to settle and how to build a life. So I went downstairs, and it's a lot easier for you guys to listen now because now I'm speaking about it from memories, and now I can smile. But at the time, like I didn't smile ever. I stopped smiling for a really long time. So I went downstairs, and at least hoping that there's breakfast, because I haven't eaten in like 2 days with all of the stress and coming back and the this and the Marrakesh and the Agadir and then and he's like, oh, no food. And then suddenly, before I realized it, I'm in the back of some random guy's bicycle going through Marrakesh trying to fetch like fruit from the bicycle, and it was just like, I'm like, what on earth is happening? And in that moment when I was on that bicycle, or like not even bicycle, this like little like tuk 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 tuk, I was like, one day, Elaine, this is going to be a funny memory. One day, Elaine, this is going to be a fun memory. But at the time I was like, what is happening? Till today I owe that guy money for the night I stayed in that riad, and I don't want to die with this debt. So if you know this guy who I stayed with in Marrakesh in the riad, please tell me so I can pay him the fee for that night, please. So after that, okay, I was like, let me try Marrakesh. It's so much more touristy, it's so much more lively. Maybe it didn't work out for me in Agadir, maybe it's gonna work out for me in Marrakesh. At the same time, I still have like 30 orders of this kimono pending from Agadir, and I took a separate bus to Agadir to go to that seamster that I asked him to prepare all of it while I was in Dubai, and he had not done anything. He just gave me back the whole bag of fabric, and he had not done anything. And I remember that's like I was going to lose my mind. I took that bag of fabric. I have like 30 girls waiting for me and asking me every single day, is it dispatched? Is it dispatched? Are they ready? That is the money for my food. Otherwise, I don't have the money to eat, and I don't want to ask my family back home because they think I'm doing fine. And I remember I took that bag of fabric in a black like garbage bag, and I just walked in the middle of the street, and I was crying. I was like falling apart. I didn't understand what is life, what is happening, what am I doing. And I went and I picked up my things from that girl's house, and we just said our highs and goodbyes, and that was it with her. And I went back on the bus station, and ready there with my all my bags, and I'm trying to carry them, and they're so heavy and I can't like manage. So the bus was delayed like 1 hour, and I had all my bags, and I have to get them back to Marrakesh. I don't know, I'm hoping that somebody will just help me to carry them back to where I was staying in that little Riyadh hotel. And suddenly I still have this picture, by the way, and if you followed me at the time, I remember I'm just sitting there like not knowing what is tomorrow, not knowing anything. And the area in the bus gets lifted up where they throw your bags, and this is like my livelihood at the time, all these bags of fabric for the kimonos that are supposed to be ready but are not. It opens up like tick 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 tick, and I'm looking like scratching my eyes like, huh? In the middle of that area where there's suitcases and luggages and everything for all the passengers, there's sheep just walking around like tick 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 tick, and they take all my fabric and they're just like pow, and they throw it inside in the middle of the sheep, and they're like tick 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 tick. And I was like, oh my god, like This is the last of my money. All my money that I had in my savings account, I used it to buy this fabric. So this fabric can get me the kimono, so this kimonos can get me the money to eat. And all of this, I'm like, oh my God, the sheep are like either going to eat the fabric or they're going to smell like poop or they're going to poop on my fabric. And it was just like, it was so unreal. I don't, like, it's crazy. You would think I'm making this stuff up, but I was not. So I went back to Marrakesh and tried to find every single day another seamster in Marrakesh to do the kimonos for me. It was just approaching the second Eid, so everyone was off. No one wanted to do it. And I found one girl from Instagram, Khadija, bless you. You were like the biggest blessing of my trip to Morocco. She helped me to find like seamsters in Marrakesh to do it for me, but the cost in Marrakesh for getting them done was almost twice as much, so I ended up getting a lot less money than I did before. Anyway, it was a really big delay, and I had to like honestly message all of those girls, and I'm like, so sorry, this is the scenario, I'm really trying my best. And alhamdulillah, like I was so scared. I thought they're going to like ruin me and say like Eslimah is such a cheater and don't like this and don't trust her and don't follow her and whatever. But they ended up being so understanding. I still remember one Nina girl from Norway, like you were so supportive and motherly, and you're like, just figure it out and I'll be here waiting. And it was just the kind of encouragement I needed at the time. So I think at the time in my bank account from all of that, I think I had like maybe 200 euros or something like that. And that's not enough for renting an apartment. And of course I cannot night by night stay at a hotel. So Genius, who was already lost and doesn't know what's happening in life, decided to put on her Facebook, hey guys, friends all over the world, does anyone want to join me in an adventure in Marrakesh? What adventure? It was one of the worst times of my life. How can you even invite somebody in the middle of all of this mess? Anyway, whatever. And one girl from Estonia is like, yeah, me, I want to come. So she took like half a semester gap year from university, sold like half of her clothes and came to Marrakesh. And she is expecting me to have a plan and to like provide, and that I'm like the Columbus who is going to like, greetings, this is my Morocco. But actually in reality, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea where I'm going. I'm depressed. I don't know what's happening. And I just invited another human being into this mix. Like I was also very crazy. But in my mind, I was like, okay, maybe someone else will make it easier if we're here together. And if we can rent an apartment together and split the fees, then like maybe it's gonna be a cool adventure. So that's what we did. We found one apartment that if we both combine our savings, we can rent an apartment for 1 month. And I remember this apartment was somewhere like in the old market in Marrakesh, in the Jewish area. And the guy was like, don't go out before 8 or after 8, maybe die. So like it was like a very shady neighborhood. And one night, I swear, we thought we're gonna get mugged and killed. Like someone was trying to break into our apartment. And like I was already like saying my last prayers and everything, and I don't know. And then I was like, okay, maybe if they know I'm Muslim, maybe they will not kill me. So I was like, Salam alaikum. Anyway, okay, fine, alhamdulillah, we didn't die, they didn't rob us, it was fine. But really, also, I feel so sorry for this girl because she probably thinks I'm psycho. This is the only time in my life that she actually met me and saw me. I had been to like 1 or 2 classes with her in university. That's all I knew from her. And the rest of the 1 month that she knows me in her life was me in that phase, which was like crazy. I was always sad. I was always like, like this. So, Katrine, inshallah, we meet again another day in another place. Please come visit me in Doha. I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry I got you in the middle of all of this mix. So, then we reached a point over there in time where both of us had finished our savings and we had finished our money. We didn't have money for the next month's rent. Some days I barely had money for food. I remember we would just go to a kiosk that sold like a sandwich, very unhealthy, 50-cent sandwich or something, 50-euro-cent sandwich, just because like we couldn't afford more. We didn't have anything else. So it was a tough time. And so then my mom one day, she told me that, I'm gonna come visit you in Marrakesh. She ended up hating it because I was in a place that I couldn't make anyone else around me happy. So a lot of girls were like asking me to still keep posting my videos and doing this and doing that. And I could not even take care of myself, and I didn't find the will or the guidance or I found it difficult to wake up in the morning. I'm going to be honest with you. It was a phase in my life where often I didn't want to wake up in the morning. And in that phase where I didn't know how to take care of myself, I couldn't inspire anyone else around me, which is why I went low for quite some time from social media. And it was just a very, very odd time. I always used to pray. I always used to wake up in the last third of the night because I dread that this is the time, if you want to ask God for something, this is the time you have to ask it in. And I was always praying for guidance. And all I remember from that time, honestly, is me crying. It got even worse when I got to Amsterdam. But still in Morocco, somehow I always still had that knowledge that, you know, He is the master of miracles. So you always have to talk to God, and you could never give up in order for you to have personal growth. Like for me, I would definitely not be the person I am today if I hadn't gone through all of that. And it still continues. I'm not done with the story. Like now my husband always tells me that I was in the making for him. Like everything that happened formed me into the human being that now is a perfect match for him. So I always tried to hold on as firmly as I could to my faith, and always try to remind myself that he's testing me. Like he's always testing me, he's testing me, he's testing me. And I read so many places online that if you feel like it's distancing you from God, it is actually a curse or like a punishment. But if it's making you closer to God, it's a test and you're passing it. So I was always focused on that, and I was really, really hoping that I passed the test. And you need to know that, you know, even when it feels like the sun is never going to rise again, you still need to turn to Him. Because if you bear with it through those times of difficulties, God will make easy times come again. He needs to test you to see if you are still a good person through times of hardship. Like, it wouldn't be fair to judge you only based on how you behave when life is easy. Because like this life was never meant to be easy, we know that. If it happens to be for you, great, but it's not the essence of this life to be easy and to be simplified. No, it's supposed to be a test, and it's supposed to be a struggle, and it is how you pass and how you deal with those struggles that makes you who you are and defines your ultimate destination. And you know, so often I knew that everything was happening for a reason, but I was just in that place like, I wish I could just take a peek. Like, I wish I could just know what that reason is. Like, why am I going through all of this? The only thing that I learned from all of this is that hold on to your prayer and never let go. If you let go of your prayer, it is so easy to lose everything else. And it is the fact that pain makes people change. In my case, definitely, like pain does make people change. Everything that I've been through, it made me who I am today. I know heartbreak like the back of my hand, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone in the world, but I feel more often than not, it is something that we have to go through for personal growth. And one day, even if you don't understand right now, one day it is going to make sense to you, and you're going to understand why you had to go through it. And I remember for me, the times of trial and tribulation was so long that I felt like, okay, I'm done with everyone telling me that one day I'm gonna understand. I'm ready for that day. I don't want to be in this place anymore. So, you know, as humans, we're so impatient, but that's the test, I guess, to grow our patience, because it's no joke. Like, otherwise patience wouldn't be rewarded so greatly. Yeah, so my mom came to Marrakesh, and she didn't like it because I didn't like it, so I was not able to provide for her a great experience. And after my mom went back, I told this girl from Estonia, I'm like, I'm so sorry, I can't do this. Like, I'm a young girl from Estonia, I just converted, I don't know what I'm doing, so I need to go back home because like I give up. I tried, it's not happening for me. The kimono thing didn't work out. Like I didn't have a common understanding with the seamstress there. They didn't understand what I want. If I told them please make extra small, they would make extra large, and they would say like ma fi mushkil. So it was becoming like a lot to deal with, and to the extent that I didn't have money for food. So I just asked my mom to get me a ticket back, and I went back home. Which was really hard for me to do because it was kind of like admitting defeat or something, where I felt like if I put myself out there in the world, it's gonna happen for me, but it didn't. So I just came back home and I was crushed. And by the time I went back home, it was winter, so I could still commit to the hijab because I wore like a hat and a big scarf and no one would really notice. So I didn't have to give up the hijab aspect just yet, which was still keeping me holding on. And after that, my blog had been growing this entire time, believe it or not, even though I was going through all of this behind the scenes. After this, one girl messaged me one day, her name is Farah, that I motivated her to wear the hijab, and she has such a special place for me in her heart, and she has launched her own modest collection, and she's going to debut it in London Modest Fashion Awards in the Shard. And she wants me to come with her because I'm the source of her like inspiration or whatever she said. And I was so honored, and I was like, of course I will come with you and I will support you no matter what. So with her company, she sponsored my stay, and I went to support her, and I wore her designs, and I went to the event. And from there we became really close because we shared a flat, and we talked, and she got to know the real me and the real struggles behind, and how I'm trying so hard to fit into anywhere, and I'm just not finding my place, and all I want to do is emigrate. All I want to do is my hijrah. And she said that her house in Amsterdam, she has a 3-story house, and the top apartment in her house is rented out as a studio. So right now it's free, and I can come and live there with her. So she said that I can move in with her, and she can cover my expenses but not pay my salary. But if I help her with modeling and marketing and promoting her collection and helping her produce and everything regarding her company, then inshallah she can take care of my expenses. So again, it was a way out for me, and I thought, okay, maybe I can make it work in Amsterdam, and we were looking for teaching opportunities for me here and there. And all the while I was still sending my CVs to places, but I kind of buried that dream already. But actually, going back to the Shard for a minute, when I was in London for her collection in the show, there was these 2 girls who, if you ever watch this, and I know I always say this, that there's girls a part of my story who don't know that they're part of my story, but this girl was like the biggest changing factor of all, because I got to talking with her. She approached me, she's like, oh, I recognize you, you're Eslimah, can you please promote my scarves, etc. And we started talking, and she's like, what's actually your education and what do you do other than blogging? And I said, actually my degree is in English and I have a teaching license, but I haven't been able to find any job, so I don't know if it's meant for me. I feel like I did istikhara, I prayed, I tried my best, and it's just not in the cards for me. And she's like, actually, I think I know somebody. It was some guy in Qatar. I think he has like a school or something. And I was like, okay, fine, just email me his email. But at the time, I wasn't even thinking anything of it anymore. So I didn't even get her card or anything. Just a few weeks later, when I was in Amsterdam, she would email me the contact details of this guy in Qatar. So that was it. I didn't think anything much of it. So I'm going to come back to that in my Qatar story, inshallah. So yeah, I lived 2 months with Farah in Amsterdam, and it was another Ramadan. And I really, really liked the community in Amsterdam. I remember I made so many amazing friends from Nessie, from Hazana, from everything. And you know, I'm the kind of person that no one really knew that I was lonely or depressed, because I have that game face, kind of like when I deal with people, I still smile and I'm still nice and everything. But unfortunately, even though when I'm saying the story now, when I'm saying it from my memories, it doesn't seem that bad. It just sounds like a girl who was a bit lost, but it's not like something to be depressed about. But that's the thing, you cannot question someone else's pain. You cannot say that this is the right kind of pain and this is the wrong kind of pain, or that you're ungrateful or this or that. Like, I don't know how to explain, but have you ever felt true loneliness? Like, I had my family and I've always been close to my family, but they didn't understand the biggest part of me. And I was always, for years and years and years, begging for God, begging God for someone who would get me, like at least one person in this whole universe who understands me and who gets me and supports me, that I don't have to do it all on my own. Like, I'm tired of doing everything on my own. I need support. I need somebody by my side. And And you know, loneliness, it's a very sneaky creature. It has a way of making you, it has a way of paralyzing you. It has a way of making you oblivious to all the blessings and all the beauty of the world that's actually around you. Like when I think about it now, I'm like, why didn't I just enjoy all of these experiences? Like I was traveling, I was young, I was at the prime of my life. I could have made the most out of this, you know, just embraced every opportunity and every single moment. But I couldn't. Like, I felt, all I could feel is that I'm alone in this world. I felt like I don't have any friends. I don't have a husband. My family doesn't understand me. And somehow I'm meant to be a source of inspiration for young girls. At the same time, I don't have my own life together. I didn't see any prospects, like how am I ever going to meet someone? How am I ever going to settle? How am I ever going to like provide for myself or start a family? Or I didn't see that light in the end of the tunnel. I didn't know where am I ever going to fit in. I was always either too little or too much for other people. And it's really sad to say, like, but loneliness really, it ruined my life. So I didn't get into a good place until I also finished the first 6 months in Qatar. So let's get to Qatar. All I remember from Amsterdam, like honest to God, Farah, God bless you. I don't know why you love me or why you helped me, because I must have been the most annoying person in the history of mankind, because everything I remember from my time in Amsterdam is me every single night in sujood crying and begging for God for relief, begging for God to take away, begging for God to remove this void in my heart, begging God that I came to Him and I took those steps to Him. So please grant me ease and please make me have a place where I belong. Everyone around me seems so fulfilled. Why can't I feel fulfilled? Like, it's a very, never compare yourself to anyone else, because whatever you're going through, it's meant for you and you're meant to go through it. So just embrace the moment. Don't sulk in your sorrows. Like, Islam is all about moderation. So even emotional moderation, you shouldn't cause your own self more heartache than what you're actually already experiencing. Like, I did that to myself. I always kept victimizing myself, and whoever hurt me and whoever abused me or whatever I was going through, I would always magnify it in my head like 10, 20, 50 times more, because I kept replaying it in my head and I kept reliving it over and over again, which made me even more sad, which made me even more depressed, and so many things that happened that I'm not going to speak about in camera. You know, we end up being the ones who hurt ourselves the most, and you should love yourself just the same way, the kind of love you give to others, and even more. So it's just sad what we do to our own self. So now, of course, looking back, I have so many things to say, but when you're in that moment, it's very hard to stay patient. It's very hard to stay strong, and I know that. Anyway, so one day when me and Farah were in the middle of a photo shoot for her company, I got an email asking me to come for an interview for a English teaching job in Qatar for a company that has just started by Ibrahim Al-Muftah, who heard about me from the girl from the London Modest Fashion Awards. Can you believe it? Subhanallah. I still, like, if you think of my timeline and my story and every single puzzle piece that ended up being together, like if you remove even one thing from the middle, like God is the best of planners, no doubt. If I would have tried anything, I applied for jobs for like 2 years. I didn't get anything. For like 2 years, nobody hired me. I didn't even know what's Qatar. I applied to like UAE and Kuwait and Bahrain and Oman and whatever. I didn't know what's Qatar. So like the two smallest countries in the world, like Estonia and Qatar, found each other. And subhanAllah, it's meant to be. And for the first 6 months in Qatar, I had no idea why am I here? What is this? Like every time I went through something, every time I went through another country, I thought, okay, no, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. But no, then the next thing came and I was like, okay, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. So you may not find out today or tomorrow why you are going through whatever it is that you're going through, and no one else is ever going to be able to sympathize with your pain the way you yourself feel it. That's why we should never look down upon someone who is suffering differently than you or who is being tested differently than you. That doesn't mean that their feelings or their trial is any less worthy or any less than yours. We should always have sympathy and empathy, and I feel like everything in my life led me to the point that I have so much more empathy towards other people because I know what it feels like. I feel having gone through hardship actually gives you a lot more soul. Whatever you speak of, you can speak about it with passion. Whatever advice you give it from personal experience. It kind of makes your words have more meaning, I feel. Not that people who are not tested with hardship don't have meaning. That's completely not the point. But then again, there's no such thing as a person without trials. So don't look at someone and if their life seems amazing or seems perfect, or even if you listen to my story now, like I told you, whatever you saw and what was actually happening behind the scenes is completely different. So no one is going to post on social media like, oh my God, cried today, very tough day. Like it's not, your platform is not for that. You kind of want to uplift others, but then when you are feeling down, you don't post as much because you need to take care of yourself before you can take care of others, you know what I mean? So anyway, what I wanted to say is that you may not find out today or tomorrow why you're going through whatever you're going through, but eventually you are going to know. But you must remain patient, and I know this was one of the hardest tests for me because in that moment I couldn't understand. Why am I going through this? Why me? Why? But this is something that is not where we should let our thoughts go. That's a very secular way of thinking. You cannot go and question God's decree and be like, why me? No, there's a reason why you're going through it, but we are too small to comprehend, or it's not the time for us yet to understand. And one day you are going to know, but you need to accept the fact that this day might not be tomorrow, it might not be next week, maybe it's not even going to be in this lifetime. And you need to come to terms with that. Like, this life was never meant to be perfect. And it's very hard to accept because we like everything to be nice and warm and bubbly and everything. So if your life is great, great. But it's not intended to be. Like, it is a test, and God makes that very clear. Even if you're hurting, even if you're going through something, you're alive, you're healthy, you're breathing, you have a family. Cherish the life that you've been given instead of wasting it. You're never going to get it again. This test is like, you're never going to be put back here. Might as well make the most of it. What I realized ultimately is the power of your own thoughts is so strong. It's unbelievable. The way you can have power over your own thoughts, and once you admit that, and once you're able to use that for your favor, not against you, your life will change. The more free time I had, the more I tended to overthink, the more I tended to hurt myself, and it was just kind of like a vicious circle. I was sad, so I didn't want to go out, and I didn't want to go out because I was sad, and I was thinking. Just feed yourself with positivity, and it's so important to surround yourself with good people. And but you need to remember also, you cannot be dependent on the people or the things around you, because they're gonna go away, things will fade, people are going to leave. Your faith and who you are needs to be independent from those things. Yes, they should nourish and help and guide and motivate, but if they're not there, you should still be there. And I just want to make it very, very clear that just because I'm giving this kind of advice doesn't necessarily mean that I follow it myself. I'm sure most of you know that giving advice is really easy, but following it is really difficult. So I struggle with a million things in my daily life just as well. I'm human, we all do. It's just the fact of life. But everything that I did go through down this journey, and every time I thought something would work out and it didn't work out, or I met someone and it ended up being a bad person, or anything that happened down the road, I learned something from every single thing. And it's not like I hate Morocco or have anything against Morocco. That's definitely not the case. It was just that the time that I happened to go there, I was in a place that I was unable to enjoy anything or anyone around me. So now one of my closest friends is Moroccan, and she's always persuading me to go and explore Morocco now from a completely different standpoint, and inshallah I will one day. And I know there's many girls in my account from Morocco, and I have so much love for you all. So every single lesson down the road led me somewhere. For example, the girl I met in Morocco, and we ended up really being toxic for each other. Still, she helped me to let go of things in life that maybe I wouldn't have. I had some people and some things in my life that were really bringing me down on a daily basis. And you know, some things you become so attached to that it feels like you're ripping off your own limb. But if they are damaging your soul, and causing you destruction every single day, you need to cut them off. No matter how hard it is, you need to cut them off, because you need to love yourself the way you love others. You cannot, I don't mean to be all preachy and philosophical, but that's so true. What you surround yourself with, what kind of people you allow in your circle, what kind of people you allow in your circle, the people you allow to open yourself up to, it is really vital. So everything has a purpose, no matter how difficult, no matter how easy. Like sometimes your ease is your biggest test, not your hardship. So you really just never know. And I get girls messaging me, asking me, what is the cure for depression? Or what is the cure for sadness? Or how did you overcome depression? You need to understand that I cannot text you back in one message and be like, okay, this is 1, 2, 3. Like, no, it doesn't exist like that. It is so personal and so delicate, and every person is so different. So if you feel like you are really deep, way over your head, you need to see a professional. You need to help yourself, and you need to realize nobody can help you except yourself. Yes, others can aid, but you are the one who can change your life. You need to take matters into your own hands. I know it's a lot easier said than done, but still, at least I have to say it. So yeah, that's what happened. One day, they called me for an interview when I was in the middle of a photo shoot in Amsterdam. And I was so scared to tell Farah, actually, because she had brought me all the way to Amsterdam to work for her brand. And I'm like, okay, hey, Hupsti, like now I got a job offer from Qatar. But she's actually the one who always believed in me. I think she is one of the few people. She believed in me more than I believed in myself. At that moment, I reached the point, I felt like a pathetic human being. I felt like people think this of me, but actually I am this, and I'm such a, like, I just felt like a failure. And I didn't know where my head headed, how am I ever gonna get out of this like kind of pit that I have ended up in? But she was always so supportive and always so nurturing, and she was like my friend and my mother at the same time. And she's like, no, this is a great opportunity for you, even this, you have to take it, you have to try, you can always come back home. So take this opportunity and believe in yourself, and you can do it because I'm by your side. And she's the reason I accepted the job, because at first I was like, what Qatar, what? So alhamdulillah, you know, like God puts people in your path sometimes to teach you, sometimes to form you, to shape you. Some of those people, that's all they are sent for, and they have to leave after they have taught you the lesson they were meant to teach you. And you need to be okay with that, because more often than not, I was holding on so tightly to my plan for my life, and I didn't leave any room for, oh, maybe this is not what God has planned for me. I was holding on till like my fingers were bleeding, but it has to go the way I want it to go. And like life was sending me a million signals and a million things that just was like, woman, let go. And I was not able to let go. But from the moment I did, and I trusted in God, and I, you know, what's the verse? Grasp the handhold that never breaks. You put your ultimate trust there. You realize and you admit your own weakness and your own inability to basically do anything, because you might plan. I planned a million things. I thought I had my entire life planned out. Nothing went the way I was planning. And in the end, it led me here to where I am today. And who knows, maybe I'm gonna have the biggest test of my life tomorrow. That is life, ups and downs. We're always gonna be tested with everything, especially our faith. You're gonna have days where you're really high, you're gonna have days where you're really low. So this life is a constant test. It's not like I went through hardship once and now I'm done. No. So all I want to say is that if there's anything that you take out from this video, even if you really felt like, oh my god, this girl is like a Looney Tune, like she has no idea what she's doing, why am I even listening to this? The only thing I wish that you take out of this video is that just keep fighting for what you believe is right, even if you're the only one standing. Keep standing. One day it is going to pay off, and even if you cannot see the light, even in the far distant end of the tunnel, you cannot see it, but I want you to never stop believing that it is there. That's why they call it faith, that's why they call it trust. And you need to have those two things if you want to be successful in life. But people have this ability to make me feel like I am the most wrong and I did so many wrong things, and just like, even if someone tells me pass the ketchup and I pass them the ketchup, and then they're like, I'm like, maybe it was the way I passed the ketchup, maybe I didn't like this. And I always have a way of making myself feel guilty. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. I is just a stupid thing. So that was what happened as well. And like sometimes think, how are you going to affect the other person? This life is too short. Just forgive and move on. Don't cause unnecessary heartache for other people. Life is hard enough as it is. So inshallah, we all pass the test, and whatever it is that you're going through, I pray that God grants you ease. I know I'm never going to be able to fully understand what it is you're going through, and you're never going to be fully able to understand what it is I went through or am going through right now. So pour your heart out. Sometimes you're not even going to find the words to say, but turn to God. You don't have anyone else anyway. So what is there to lose? Never stop believing, never stop hoping. Life is beautiful, treat it as such. And if really your misery is beyond what you can handle, and God tells us that He is never going to test us with more than we can bear, so you are going through what you're going through because you can handle it. I'm sure there is a million things you should be grateful for today, so don't forget those things. We are alive, we are breathing, we are healthy, and I wish you the best of luck, and I wish you all of the love, and yeah, so one day inshallah I will share with you my Qatar video, and that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. Bye. Assalamu alaikum.